My mum used to think that I was sat in some freezing squat on my own in some derelict house, suffering away. Whereas in fact I was like living in some fat townhouse with 20 wicked people having a great time. She still sort of, it's just what your parents do, isn't it? You know, that's like, oh, are you eating? It's like, oh, I'm 40, how do you think I got this old?
I won't feel sad when they knock the old school down. For all the Catholic kids busting from out of town. For all the swaggering in the playground. We get as good as we give, for as long as we live. Outside the gates of the conformity factory, prepared for our role in the economy. I'll always be belligerent, recalcitrant, ultimately impotent in the face of faceless authority. See, why didn't we learn about slavery? No wonder the globalised economy is a mystery to most of us. We learn from each other, though it seems implausible. We are realists, we dream the impossible.
I left school at 15 and a half with very few qualifications. I did get back and do a couple of the exams. I was getting into music, and then I went to Stonehenge Free Festival when I was 15 instead of doing my mock exams at school. Didn't tell my dad. Said I was going to visit my mum who'd lived in England at the time, and then sidled off to Stonehenge. Got back to my mum's and my dad phoned me up and was like, I'm not going to say anything, listen to this, and played me the answer phone message from the headmaster going, we're wondering why we haven't seen your boy for exam week this week, blah blah blah. And he was just like, get back here now. And in some ways my old man played the sort of straight card, which was good because I rebelled against that, and then later on found out that he was a bit of a weirdo too. Suddenly 9 o'clock next morning I was back in school for a woodworking design exam. School didn't go that well after Stonehenge. I had problems taking the whole thing seriously, and then it all came to a head about 6 months later, by which time I was pretty much uniformless skateboarding around. Now I did try and go to art college where I met this creative guy there that did the interview, and if I wanted to go to art college I was going to have to resit my O-levels, which meant going back to school for a year, which was like a terrifying thought at the time. Sort of creative guy in the interview was just like, you don't need art college, you know what I mean, this stuff's great. Get out there and paint.
Draws a lot of eyes. So yeah, I think that there's a lot in that, you know, like there's always more to see and you've always got to look deeper than your thoughts.
The circus and the art project kind of was all born out of that sort of free party, free culture thing that was going on in the early 90s. In some ways I started travelling with the circus. It was getting harder and harder to do positive things, and once you've had a few places shut down and a few beatings from the cops, and then people get put off putting the energy in. I sort of stepped out on a high point really, just before the clampdown, and I was like, didn't really want to watch something that had been so beautiful and fulfilling to me as a person. And you didn't need money, you didn't need anything, you just needed a bit of motivation and a few mates to do stuff, and you could go out to free parties and it didn't need any money to get in there. And I don't know, my whole life changed and everything developed in another crazy tangent again once I stepped out of England. Well, I got a job in Portugal for 3 weeks and ended up not even getting there until the 3 weeks was up. I left in the new year of '93, telling all my mates I'd be back in a month. And then didn't see him again for like 2.5 years. But ended up writing some quite poignant tunes.
His music is more spirit-based, I would say, you know, showing the flip side of the glory.
There's just something about that, just letting go of everything in your life and all your friends and all your possessions and just walking away, that I've suddenly felt really liberated.
Quite simply amazing. That's how I described Dougie in 3 words.
Oh, unhinged, pragmatic, visionary.
I just had this backpack full of fairly useless stuff I brought from London and a guitar, and that was kind of my life all of a sudden, and everything else was kind of gone. I left a relationship. I didn't phone England for 2 years and didn't speak to my mum for, you know, 1.5 years or something. I phoned her up finally in Barcelona. She's like, oh, how's it going? I was like, yeah, I'm a travelling clown, blah, blah, blah.
Global capital, the American dream, got me glad to be the lowest paid member of the team. Overworked, underpaid, unappreciated, with a bad attitude that very often gets me slated.
I didn't know anything about squatting when I left the Isle of Man. Got a flat on the Dole and I got onto the building trade, and I ended up getting like a neurological disorder. It's a Bell's palsy it's called, which old age pensioners get, and but the doctor was like, you know, this is a disease of old people. Half your face goes numb, so you can't close your eye properly and you can't smile at the side of your face. It's really weird happened when I was tripping, actually, which is even worse. All my mates were like, "Nah, don't be stupid." And I was like, "No, really." I'm going off first. And they're like, "Oh God, it'll wear off." And I was like, "No, it's not wearing off." You know? And then next day, the doctor was like, "You know, what are you doing with your life?" And I was like, "I'm doing this job." I got a nightmare relationship, and I've got to pay 120 quid a week for this flat. And he was just like, I'd stop doing that if I was you. So I split up with my girlfriend, went on a bit of a mad one for 6 months or so, and then came back to London and started squatting.
Where's Dougie going to end up? I think he'll always be around performance, like music and art and performance. He's really passionate about that.
Going to Morocco to do a kids festival on the edge of the desert, and so they did one last year that we didn't make it over to, and then invited us to come this year. They haven't got any money to pay us or anything, but I was quite keen to escape Christmas generally. This is not my favourite time of year.